Good afternoon, good evening. I don't know why I would say good afternoon, but hey, fam, this is Talking Sharp After Dark. T said, better known as Mama T. I'm hoping you guys having a blessed night tonight as well as I am. But I have some things in my mind and I'm in question. So I figured tonight I'm going to do something a little different. Yeah, I have some things in my mind and I have some questions, and I'm hoping you guys could help me out. Give me some clues. Help me to understand. And if you experience the same of what I'm getting ready to talk about. So tonight's topic, I should say, is a good question. Let's say there's things on Mama T mind. Why are there things on my mind? Because I've been noticing a lot of shift that has been taking place for the past couple of years. And it seems like it's not getting better. It seems like it's getting a little worse. And I want to address it. I'm going to be the big girl here and try my best to address it. I may have to do a part 2 and part 3, part 4. In order to do this, I have my photographer with me, and he's going to communicate with me because he's doing the editing and everything, and we're going to have this dialogue because as I look into my own life, look into my family's life, and when I'm talking to others and they're talking about their family life, and then when I'm looking at how this world is evolving, and I'm noticing, and I'm hoping I'm not the only one I'm noticing this as well, but I'm noticing that all this craziness and madness that's going on, government, whatever, Republican, Democrat, Independent, progressive, whatever they call all those folks, bump all of them. Because for me, I'm going to be honest with you, I would get rid of all of them and start fresh. But needless from this conversation, and we're going to move forward into what I'm really supposed to be talking about is self, family, generation, generationals. And speaking of which, the generational, what are the names that's being called from, and I don't know if you guys remember, how far back can you guys go? Because I think what I can remember was the silent generation. And I do believe that would be in my grandmother. And I think it can go further back than that. But what I can remember is the silent generation. I think that's, and when I looked this up to check it to make sure that I'm correct, the silent generation was from 1928 to 1945. Baby boomers was 1946 to 1964. Generation X, 1965 to 1980. The greatest beautiful millennials, 1981 to 1996. Generation Z, 1997 to 2012. Then the Generation Alpha, which is, this is right here where we at in the course of this, 2013 to 2025, Generation Alpha. And believe it or not, there's another one coming behind that because 2025 we already sitting in, right? But they have one that's called Generation Beta. Anticipated. That's what they call it. And that starts at 2026 to 2039. Estimating. Okay? Now, people always say these titles and everything, but people don't really say the meaning and what it means. You know, what was going on in those generations. And which it brings me to current time of if I am Generation X and I perceive that these millenniums are out of control, and then it make me think, well, what was the baby boomers thinking about the Generation X? Because they probably were saying the same thing, you know? Maybe they was like, we wasn't doing this back in our day. Just maybe. You don't think so? And at any given time, you could jump in, Mike.
I don't think so. I think we were more of the really like the baby boomers. We were raised just how they were raised. You know, respecting their parents. You know, loving their kids, having you know, traditional home, and they was about the neighborhood, about the community. They were about church. They took homeschool, church, all that seriously, and that's how we were taught. You know,
Okay.
we was taking.
I do remember that. If you're saying, you don't think ever that the baby boomers, that they were saying some things that we were doing that they weren't never ever doing? You don't think?
I think we got into with the X generation, just like some of how they were. They got into life as far as exploring drugs, alcohol, and they were just getting out of the family,
Right.
and getting into the world. It was more of they were just wanting to do their own thing. You know,
You might be right with that, because it says some of that. The Generation X, born after the baby boomers, they grew up during the economic downturn and are known for their independence and entrepreneurial spirit. That's us,
right?
the Generation X. Because baby boomers was after the World War II, right? So they grew up during the post-war prosperity and are known for their optimism and adaptability. So, and I guess they just looking at it in general, but not on the social skills. And I was trying to look that up to see if I could find something on the social skills note of it, because that's where I think some of the problems that we having right now, and let me not call it problems, because they're not. These are growth spurts, right? And we're the next generation. We're Generation X, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is within our job to teach and to educate, to pass on wisdom to the millennium so they can pass it on too. The problem is, it feels like there's a gap in between. And one could say, and I wish that I could find a millennium that could have enough courage to come online or chat and say, hey, I will go on with you and we could talk about it. Because I would love to understand, where's that gap and why is it that gap? And I get it. Every person is different and every family is different. But if you come from the same family and each family have the same problems, whether you're the type mother and father raising children, or you're a single mother raising children, or you're a single dad raising children, or you're absentee mom or absentee dad, if there's children involved, there's still a gap, which majority of these children are saying the same thing.
You talking about this generation here?
I'm talking about the millenniums.
The millennials. Okay, right.
Yeah, I'm talking about the millenniums. Because I don't think we have yet to have the experience. Well, if you have some grandbabies and they are between the age of 10, they will no longer be millenniums. They will be the Generation Z, I do believe.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're born after the millennium. Now, those Generation Zs, I'm seeing some stuff. And these millenniums, if they think they not doing anything extra and we're just over the top as Generation X, you didn't see nothing yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how is it that we can try to teach some of these, or either just give some wisdom tips if they will listen? Say, hey, just like what the Bible said, what's going on in heaven goes on here on earth, vice versa, right? So is below, so is above, so is below.
Right.
Okay, so if a younger person won't listen to me, the same thing that I'm going through, you don't think you're going through? Is that the main thought of their thinking? I don't know. My mind is everywhere.
Ms. T, so what type of issue have you been experiencing lately? What brings you to this subject matter?
What brought me to this subject matter was an ongoing, it seemed like a battle of trying to reach to my younger folks that are millenniums. And if you say that you're this way, and you'll say, I'm a certain way because these things happen, I firmly believe in, then let's address it. Let's meet that elephant that's in that room and address it, so that way you don't, hold that for the rest of your life, because I firmly believe that it hinders you in your growth. So we got to address that, because I would want all my young folks to grow, to move on. Don't let nothing hinder you. And don't let it to be, stopping you from excelling. But when you hold that thought in you and that feelings, and then it comes behind with disrespect, now we talking about a total different brand. And then they don't realize when they say things like, well, you guys got to respect us first. What? Where we get that up? Where'd that come from? So it makes me go back, because I wouldn't dare. And my mother was at best maybe 5 feet tall. I wish I would.
What do they mean when they say
It's like
that?
they fighting for independence, like as if they never had none. And it's when I hear that, it's like as if they think that they're being violated. And then you like, well, how was your childhood? Well, how did you live? Why do you think you've been violated that you have to go this avenue? Because just because your friends like this don't mean that you're like this. Or just because you heard it in the social media like this doesn't mean that that's your life. So why you're picking that up when I know for a fact that you didn't live that life and you was taught respect, or you was taught this? And I'm just giving an example for any one of my family members to that nature. Now, as in some of the people that are not my family members, I'm hearing the same exact thing. So it makes you want to say, can we touch base on it?
So do you think they were taught this, or do you think this is a generational character that they have?
Well, good question. Because at first I would think that from a child you learn, right? So that means something was taught. Because where did you get your ideas, your thoughts from? Experience. That can be taught, right? Mm-hmm. So that means either you experienced that and now you're fighting it because you're an adult now, or it has been taught to you mentally. Maybe TV, friends, associates, social media. I'm not quite sure, but something was taught. Where else would you pick it up from?
So you really can't relate to what they're telling you.
No, I really cannot. And I would love to. I would love to want to be able to relate to them, because I love them as a people. I love my people, man. So it's like let's figure this thing out, because that means we got a stumbling block here. And who wants to stay in that? Why? That's dysfunctional at its best. word for the day, dysfunctional. At its best.
So
You
let's do this first. So could you tell me, Generation X, right?
Yeah.
How were you brought up, and could you,
Ooh, well,
as far as respect, as far as
we were taught to respect our elders, no matter who they are. And even in saying that, I can recall hearing people say, because I talk to a lot of young folks about, yeah, but there was some older folks that did some disrespectful things. It was for your parent to handle that, not me as a child, right? And my parents also gave permission to certain adults to, if I step out of line, to check that. That gave me the initiative not to step out of line because you just gave her permission. This generation don't do that. They wish somebody would put their hands on a child. And then when your child is out of control, and then the cops going to put their hands on your child, it's a different ball game now because it's too late. Ain't nothing you can do to save that child. You're out of control now.
That's true.
So when I think about what I didn't like, when my mom used to do that, my dad or whatever, he'd be like, yeah, she step out of line, check her. And she come to me, I'm going to check again. So I could not. There was no leeway, I remember that. Although I can think of, I was a good kid. Not perfect, no one is. But I was pretty much a good kid. I was too afraid because I ain't not trying to go home and catch 2 beat downs. That's unnecessary. After a while, you start figuring out, put 1 and 1 together, make it 2. So, as a Generation X, I remember respecting my family, my elders. I remember also the Bible was put forth in front of us as well as we were kids. We were going to church on a faithful note as well as kids. Of course, as you get older, you do your own thing. You don't want to do that no more. We all did that. But as kids, we went to church, and that gave us foundation. And it taught you also to fear God. Because one can respect somebody, but when you don't fear, that's a different ball game. So we were also taught to fear God, and we didn't want to do wrong by him if there was such a him. At the time, that's what I was learning. We dared not to do too much too bad. And if we did, we asked for forgiveness. So it was always easy to say, I apologize, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I see that too. There is a lack in the next generation. It is a deep lack. So those are things that I saw different, that I know that I was raised up, and still to this day, and my mom is no longer here, but if she was alive, it's nothing but the utmost respect, because if it wasn't for her, through the grace of God, I would not be here. So on that strength, I give that much respect. And she's my mom, and she's filled with wisdom, whether I've learned more than her or not. I'm giving her that respect. Because according to the word, honor thy mother and thy father, for your days may be longer. And no one really knows to the degree of what that means, but because I was born and raised on the tactic of fearing God, days to be longer, I don't want to die, and I'm talking to you as if I was a kid. I'm not trying to die and doing no wicked stuff because I disrespected my elders. No. And, in time you learn that can be it's a variety of things that could be, So, yeah, I hope I answered your question. If I did.
Yeah, you did. So, do you have family members that's Generation X and they can concur or share the same stories or values?
It's a lot of us, and I'm hoping there are some that's watching this video that can agree or disagree, or tell me your intake on it. But yeah, in my family, oh yeah. We talk about it all the time in my generation, because it kind of hurt when you want to school the younger ones, and they say that we don't tell them nothing, we don't teach them nothing. Some of them say, I prefer to learn on my own. I prefer to make my own mistakes. Some mistakes you can't wake up from.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think it's the stupidest thing I ever hear when people say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because give me the wisdom, and granted, I can make the choice whether to go that way or not, but at least I got the wisdom.
Right.
Versus don't tell me nothing, because I prefer to just go through it myself and figure it out. And that means, so you haven't really lived. You don't know what all you could go through. You don't know what this world is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. I bet you ain't been nothing. Anything under 30, you don't know jack. You are still learning.
So, Mother T, you've been an experienced coach, educator, for and advocate for these kids. Have you talked to any of your workers or kids in the neighborhood and the community?
Yeah, all the time. This is
about
some of the
situations like
conversations.
this?
Yes, and we're having these topics. We're having these conversations, and yeah, it is the act. I'm absolutely what I'm saying here is what I'm hearing, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm looking at some of these people I know personally, close like family, so I can be able to say, I know you, and I know that that's not how you were raised. I know that that's not what we do. I know this.
Can you share a story or
I can't, not
an
to the degree,
experience?
because I'm waiting for others to take the courage, because I'm noticing that too with the next generation. Love them dearly, but I sense coward. You can talk that talk amongst others, and you can like and subscribe on certain things you see that you want to say to your parent, or this is how I feel, so you indirectly do it. That's what I think. Hold on, let me just go back. I think millennials are a lot of indirects.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're
What you mean?
meaning that they do things, say things indirectly, instead of just say what the problem is so it can be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
But they would do, throwing jabs at their family members, or bashing others on the way that they lived, and they indirectly do it instead of stand up and say what you mean what you say.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm sensing, a lot of that in that era. But yet, millenniums, you guys, as the technology came out, y'all was coming, and as it was booming, they were booming. So I think there's a lack of social skills. We do. We have a lot of introverts. Now that's the thing. Introverts were not the thing back in the day, if you notice. Right. Introverts are the thing now. Then we got the suicidal kids, God forbid. Hope no one does that. But we have that. And you're like, what's missing? Mm-hmm. What is missing from this puzzle? How can we be able to fix it wholeheartedly? Mm-hmm. Is anyone perfect? No. Is the Generation X perfect? Hell no. Is the millenniums perfect? No. So let's stop pointing fingers. But only way I can get to understand you got to open up. Mm-hmm. You got to open up and talk to me. Just as well you get to understand me by letting me open up and talk to you. And there's nothing wrong with saying your side, just like I'm saying my side. And what I learned, I may learn something from you. Right? Talking to a millennium, I can learn something from him and be like, I didn't think of it like that, and nor did I see it like that. And that's something to really think about. And if I have done something like that with my children, it will probably make me go back to them and be like, hey, do you feel this way too? You never know. It will help. And if it's so, I apologize. How can we make this move forward? But it still has to go back to the ground zero topic of the story, which is foundation, respect, in talking to your elders.
So
whether
Ms.
it's good or bad.
So Miss T, one thing I learned from you is sometimes you have to go down on their level and bring them back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
And I know this generation, they have some strength and they have weaknesses. And you're already sharing some of their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything as far as their weakness or their strength that you can go to and go down to their level and bring them back up so that they can understand about your ethics and values of what you know about respect, and not just they honor about somebody giving them respect, you know, especially parents or the elders, instead of, you know, just giving them respect because they're your elders, you know.
Right.
They're struggling with that.
Yeah, they struggling deeply, and you know, I guess the only way that I could try to go to their level, first you got to understand the level that they on. So they have to open up, and that's one of the things they don't. They lash out, but they don't really open up, or they shut down and they don't open up. You know, either or, they're not opening up. So if you can ever get the opportunity to get one to open up, to say their piece, where they feel, where they've been, how they think of the world that they've been growing up in, and at the age of where they are as a millennium, why they stand the way they stand. Then you can go to that level. And the only other way that I could think of doing it is to identify with my age at their age. Meaning not talking from I'm well over in my 60s and I'm talking to someone that's in their 30s and I'm trying to talk to them from that level. No, I'm going to talk to them on the level of when I was 30 to where they are 30.
Right.
And to remind them or give them information of what I remember of feeling, of why they feel the way they feel. I remember this moment. I remember when my mom saying, okay, I can't wait for you to have your child. Because what you doing to me, are you going to go through it 10 times more? You ever heard stories like that? Yes. You hear stuff like that. And you be like, oh my God. And it's like a generational curse. You know, because it just keep going. And you trying to hope that someone will pick up the torch and listen and be like, hold up, let me pause for a minute. Because anything a person is saying to me, especially if it's a woman that's really coming from the place of love, it's not to hurt me. So why am I angry?
Right.
Why do I want to disrespect her? It's not to hurt me. So why? And you want to know what is that thing right there, that thing that make you want to be angry with an older person that want to give you some wisdom. Now let's just say you don't want the wisdom. Not a problem. Pray for you. Because we've been on this earth long enough to know that what makes the world go around is the older generations to give you that wisdom so the newer ones can move forward and to dodge some of those bullets that they don't have to because our elders did it for us. That's called wisdom. That means use your brain. Let's be smart here. Why go down the same tunnel that 10 other folks before you that you're going to see their skeletons all up in there, meaning they didn't make it. You already see the signs, read the writing across the wall, you know? But, yeah, I hope I answered that question, did I? Because, you know me, I can just go on for a tangent and right about now, the way I feel with this, I see my people, my babies, these young ones,
Mm-hmm.
There's a gap. There's a serious gap between Generation X and the Millenniums, and they passing that right on down.
Well, it's also Generation Z. Also,
Well,
it's kind of
Generation Z is behind the Millenniums,
right.
so it's Generation X,
It's
then it's the Millenniums,
mm-hmm.
and then it's Generation Z.
Right.
Right, and
What's
it's
that,
getting
what's that
worse.
age? What's that year?
The year Generation Z,
Right.
1997 to 2012.
Okay.
1997 to 2012
Right.
is Generation Z. And then you got the Generation Alpha, which is 2013 to present.
So some of these Generation Z, they're grown also.
Oh, yeah.
And doing, so it's Generation Y, the Millennium and the Generation Z, which they are Y too. The Millennium are Y also. And it's the Generation Z. So they're grown and doing their thing. So they both tend to have this this
introvert, because they don't have much social skills.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
That's raising at the highest peak right there. Entitlement mentality. You know, we all, when we was young growing up, about to think we grown, about to be grown, almost grown. You know how when you in between that 18, 19, 20, you're not quite grown, but you're now 18, you're almost grown. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go to war, but you can't buy no cigarettes type thing. You know what I mean? They have entitlement mentality and blaming.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid and you didn't love me, you like, what in the world? Are you? No, you did not. No, you did not. And I was all alone. You like, when the heck were you? What story are you telling? And where was your mom? You know, having these type of stuff. You're like, wait a minute. Are we in the same family? You know, and giving just an example. Mm-hmm. But, you know, yeah, they have that type of the woe is me, and because of that, I'm going to fix y'all. And you're like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Life is life at the end of the day. And we all of us, we could sit down and talk about how we could have picked a better family if we want to have. We got what we got. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you do the best of it. And the more that you put blame on it, only thing it does is curse you in your growth.
So, Ms. T, what type of, do you have any ideal or any solution you can, that you're working on to help,
well, I mean,
the Y generation and Z generation?
I have a course that I have been pushing out called To Execute on Demand, because when a person talk about they want to have dreams, goals, and aspirations, and they want to start their own business, first of all, you got to start with self. And if your self ain't right, everything that you touch as you move and growing it may flourish for a bit. It may. Mm-hmm. But eventually, because what goes around come around, and whatever it is that you're holding within, your frequency, the vibrations that is rolling through you and thriving through you, it's going to come back at some point and meet you in the face. So why not let's work on self, family, to get your mind and your goals right, so that way when you place your ideas down, you can move forward with the most positivity, so you can seek for the most blessings in your course of journey, and then keep moving forward. Versus you sitting here, having all this anger, you want to get this business rolling, or you want to be your own entrepreneur, or whatever it is that you want to do, or you want to make massive amount of money, whatever, but you holding a lot of anger, resentment. How far it's going to get you?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right. So, Miss T, I know you had talked to me before about bringing on your platform a younger generation, the Y or Z generation, and the X generation, and go over these topics here. I know you said you want to your next segment. You want to do that.
Yeah.
How you
Well,
feel about that?
it's if I can get more people to like, subscribe, and leave a comment and say they would love to come on air and help educate me, because I'm always willing to learn. As long as you're living on this earth, you always should be learning. Always. There is something to learn, right? So I'm willing to learn. I'm truly willing to understand and to learn from my younger generation to delete that gap. If it can help one person, then it can help 100 people. And you'd be surprised, even our millenniums may not even have a voice to say. You don't have to speak through a little clipping of what you see on one of these social medias. You could voice your opinion, how you feel, what you thought. Because just maybe your thinking is off. Just maybe. Maybe you didn't know the foundation that God come first. Maybe you could be rebelling against that because you don't understand why. And maybe there's some of our OGs like myself, they can still communicate back with the millenniums and the generation, Z? Mm-hmm. And not talk at them, but talk to them if they will listen. And we listen. Maybe it can bridge that type of gap. Maybe, just maybe. I mean, but if somebody don't start it, how else we will ever know? How else? Mm-hmm. So I'm willing to put myself out there, stand on my 2 toes, get my chest ready and my shoulders, and say, hey, I am Generation X, and I want to understand millenniums, Generation Zs, and Generation Alpha. So we together can get it right. Maybe we can break that chain of generation curse. Just maybe. I think it would start. And will it be easy? No, it may not. People are going to take things personal, but it is what it is. Why take it so personal? It is what it is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was a kid before. I was a teenager before. I was a young adult before. Been there. So how can I not relate? And why would it not be my OGs like myself, my sisters and my brothers, not be able to explain and to hear and then give the wisdom if the millenniums on down is willing to listen? Because that I think that's the key. You got to be willing to listen. At least let it sink into your heart. So the next time when you get ready to do a step and you get ready to communicate with someone that's older than you, you just might want to think a little bit different. Because at the end of the day, every last one of us getting older, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Well, Ms. T, I want to thank you for this segment, and I look forward to
You
the
don't
next
have
segment.
anything to say before we close? I mean, I'm sure as you are a what?
A Generation X.
You are a Generation X. Okay. Well, before we close, tell me, what do you think? Because that might be a topic. That might be somebody might want to answer the question when I publish this on my Talking Sharp After Dark. Mwah.
Well, I think we have to have a segment with the younger generation, that Generation Y and Z, to get their input and feedback on the way they think, how they think. Because I believe this has been taught to them. I don't think Generation X have taught this to them, because the baby boomers didn't teach that to us, and
Right.
the silent generation didn't teach that to the baby boomers. So where did it come from?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I can't
Do
answer
you think
that.
that's part of the system that did that? But I mean,
Well, what I think technology started just like TV. The X generation, right, first experienced cable TV
we
for
did.
the first time,
Right.
and it happened in I think I was like 18, 19. I was in college then.
Mm-hmm.
We started getting cable,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like had TV all day, you
Mm-hmm.
know, all night.
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, TV shows, different things that took our mind and changed our mindset. And I think as technology went on, it changes the mindset of different generations as it goes.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the government of how they want to put fear in us,
Mm-hmm.
how they want to change our ethics and our values just through technology and TV.
You got a point there.
You know, and when I say from the silent generation to the baby boomers and the X generation, we have the same ethics and values, and all of a sudden it changes, and we didn't teach them these values.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it coming from? It has to be taught, right?
Right.
So who's teaching that? So subconsciously it's been taught somewhere.
Yeah.
And the only way I see it is through technology. It's through the internet.
Or
It's through,
maybe do you think peers? Because like all families not raised the same or grow up the same, right? I can say for an example, in my family, I can recall my children having friends, and we weren't like what I was instilling in my children. You could tell that was not being instilled in those children, and some of the problems that they were having, which was my daughter's peers, and my son's peers, it was like, and you thought I was a bad parent. And then they'd be like, no, Ma, I never thought that. Yeah, right. Yes, you did. You, Ma, you're a bad mom or whatever. You know, they wouldn't dare to think of to say it, but you can see the thoughts in their mind. But when you see their peers, they like, oh my God. And it made them a little bit to appreciate. It made my children appreciate a little bit of what they had going on here under this roof. So there are, but then again, I can look at it as I'm a late bloomer in my generation. Maybe I should say that. So I still have that old school, like baby boomer way of thinking. Although I'm Generation X, right? Yeah. So my kids' peers, their mothers are like right there next to them. I don't know what you call that. Millenniums having millenniums? Maybe.
Right. Well,
Is that such a thing? Is that possible?
yeah, you know that's possible. Right.
Right, because I'm trying to think. I mean,
our grandparents was having kids at 12 and 13.
Right,
So
right.
think about it. So then they have kids young, and you wonder why. Okay, how can this be your second cousin?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Right.
This your second cousin, but y'all are the same age.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Right,
so
right.
that happens in the black culture.
Right. And it's things like that I witnessed with my children, with their friends, their peers, that they notice, oh my God, Mom, and this person thinking of that, this person thinking of that, and they going through it, and I'm like, wow, and I feel really bad for them, You know, of course you want to help, but when you look at the scenario, you're like, so when you sitting in your room and you thinking about this is so boring and da 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 da, you don't see where you're spared from some of that stuff that you see through your peers. You know, that just, I guess that'll be another topic at another moment, because that'll come up too, I'm sure.
Well, what you're saying is, reason why that's like that, because the Y generation, they value the relationship of their friends more of the relationship of their family.
There you go.
But in our generation, we value
Our family.
relationship more than our friend, because we trust our family more, because they're not going to steer us wrong.
Right.
And we can't trust our friends.
Right.
You know,
we were taught that.
We were taught
that.
And that's how we stepped out on family first.
Right.
But the Y generation is friend first, right?
Right.
And then their experience when they fouled up and they already having issues with their parents,
right?
And then now they're taught the lesson because their friend had pretty much
betrayed
them,
right?
You know,
and
now they had to come back. Now they had to come back home.
And also, whenever you put your friends before your family, you're teaching your friends that you don't value your own family. Mm-hmm. So if they want to come and disrespect your family, you gave them the green light. Mm-hmm. Because they watch you do it.
Right.
You know? I used to tell my children in their growing up spurts moments, you don't never dog out your family, your siblings. You don't never do that to one another, and especially in front of people from the outside.
Family is sacred.
It's very sacred.
Family is sacred.
That's all you got. That's one thing that when you die, it's not going to say you left behind. Well, it's going to say that on the obituary, but in reality, it's just, you know, within your family, it's your family members who you left behind, what siblings that was born with the same parents or whatever, you know. So I don't understand why people put friends, and I get it. Maybe sometimes family is worse than friends. Maybe you might experience that life, but not all children, not all young adults, not all families are the same. So when you hear somebody else have that story and you have not had that story, don't join in to have that story just to have a friend. Mm-hmm. Dysfunctional at its best.
Well, that's another topic we can have when we do our next segment. We can ask them about those things also. That's another topic that we can talk about. These are characteristics that they have, and we didn't teach them this.
Right.
Where are they getting it from?
Right. And why are they fighting it?
Right.
But why would you fight it? Like, what's wrong with the information that's given that you feel that is wrong? Mm-hmm. And then you wonder why you having more complications within the family. It's because you didn't entertain something that you weren't raised under. You weren't raised that. And I know, you know, all of us have heard any one of our elders have said, I didn't raise you that way. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with you? And it means something outside then came in and you picked it up and said, yeah, because I feel... Mm-hmm. And there we go. And you like, no, boo, that ain't you. That's them. We feel sorry for them and their family, but that was not your life. Mm-hmm. That was not your life. You may not have it roses and gardens, but you didn't have that. Mm-hmm. And don't pick up somebody else's misfortune or hurt experience and include it into yours to identify. Because misery love misery. Do they not? Yeah. Misery love company all day. Mm-hmm. So why are you joining somebody else's problems into yours and incorporate that together? And now you done forgot you didn't join in on it until you meet a family member and you happen to accidentally slip that out your mouth and said, yeah, because I went through, and you're like, what? Who went through it? I'll keep going back there. We're going to talk about that. But you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's these are topics I think that are great, and I think it would open up and share some light, heal some people, so we can all move forward. And if not, hey, at least now you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But at the end of the day, I think it's a great topic. You don't have to hide, you don't have to run. You can stand on your business about how you feel and get some wisdom to it on why you feel. Because just maybe you could be way off. I could be way off. Never know. Let's talk about it. For Talking Sharp After Dark, we can do that. And then if you need some help and you're trying to start your business, you want to get your life right, you want to start it off right, come check me out at 2 Execute on Demand. That's what we do. Right. And, and to help people to get on their feet and get this thing rolling. Instead of being dysfunctional and not knowing that you're being dysfunctional. And this is no disrespect to no one, because we all walk the path of somewhere down the line thinking we know something and we really don't. Mm-hmm. So let's learn, let's grow, let's make it happen. And hopefully out of that we can get some younger people that want to get into politics to help fix the world. You'd be surprised what type of people that we have. And we as a people of color, anyway, we're phenomenal. I love you guys. We are phenomenal. We have talent. We got skills. We're gifted. So it's like, why are we tripping on each other? Let's understand each other. Let's grow from each other, and let's move up. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. What do you think?
I think you're correct, and I think we're going to push and try to get some younger adults here, the Y and Z generation, so that we can have this segment and for us to get some insight.
And then we'll set the time. Yeah. We'll set a time and a date, and in like 24 hours or so, and I'll come back. And if anybody that wants to be a part of, got something to say, with respect. Remember, I am, let me just tell you, OG speaking, and I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing for you. I am a Generation X. I thrive on respect. I will hear you with respect, and you got to be able to hear me with respect. And with respect, we can move mountains. We can get anything done.
And with love.
And with love. And at the end of the day, when you need me, I got you. Talking Sharp After Dark. And I am introducing Execute on Demand. I'll see you soon. I will chat back, comment, subscribe, like, share. You know how to find me. I'm all over the world out there. Just Google me. 2ExecuteOnDemand.net. Execute on Demand school platform. Talking Sharp After Dark. I'm on TikTok called Mama T. You can find me. Trust me. I know you can find me. And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for this conversation. This was great. I'm hoping to get some younger folks to come aboard and some older ones, and let's have a dialogue. Let's see what we can fix and get some things rolling. I'll talk to you. Good night. Good morning. Good night. It's still night. Okay, and we'll talk again. Much love. Talking Sharp. Mwah.